Welcome back, guys. Welcome back. It's your boy DELRAY Richardson, platinum artist, platinum songwriter, Straight Game TV. I thank you for tuning in. I appreciate your time. Do me a favor. Hit the thumbs up button. It helps the channel. Also, subscribe to the channel if you have not already. And like I always say, if you want to be one of the first people notified when I drop some of this straight game, please do me a favor and click on what appears to be that little bell notification right below this video. I'm going to get right into it. Ladies and gentlemen, there's 3 hours worth of video, an interview that Keefe did with federal agents, Greg Kading, and a detective by the name of Detective Dupree, if you will, right? And so not a 30-minute, not an hour, but a 3 hour. It was more like a business conference, if you will. And these are some of the things that have been really overlooked from that perspective that are really eye-opening. I'm going to go with you right now because I think this is very important, if you will. And we're going to jump right into it. We're going to jump into it like this. Check this out. So when we talk about getting into the nuances and the dynamics of what this really is and what this really means, a 3-hour recording of Keefe D's admissions, right? Despite what's being said now. And the crazy part about this is that Keefe D had already admitted to lying about Suge actually wanting Tupac dead because Tupac wanted to leave death row. So basically, cops had been following Keefe D for the last year, gathering enough evidence about the PCP ring he's been running to put him away for 25 years to life. That was the motivation for him to become an informant on the Shakur case and tell basically what happened in regards to that. One needs to be motivated to do certain things, and when he got caught for that, that was the motivation for him to sit down with Greg Kading, the federal agents, and Detective Dupree, and do what he did and become an informant in this situation, right? Detective Kading and Keefe D, they established the terms to the agreement that went down. It goes like this. Detective Kading says, "What about the whole shit about Tupac?" Referring to a statement the Gangster gave to the FBI in 1997, which most people didn't know. He talked to the FBI in 1997, saying that he had nothing to do with the murder and guessing that Suge Knight may have killed Shakur for threatening to leave death row. And then Keefe D says, "Oh, that was bullshit." Detective Kading then says, "Okay, Keefe, today what we're going to do, we're just going to go over with a fine-tooth comb the Las Vegas incident. But we do have to emphasize to you that everything in this report has to be right on, because if down the road it's determined that some of these details are incorrect, then everything's off the table. So everything in this report cannot be like that report," meaning the report that he had gave to the FBI in 1997. And then Keefe D says, "Like I said that day, don't bullshit me and I won't bullshit you." Pivotal, because now in the case he's basically saying I made it all up, for money and fame and all of that, when he agreed that he had lied before, when he told the FBI that he had nothing to do with the murder, and he basically said that was some bullshit, right? And then Keefe D tries to establish to the detectives of, who they're dealing with and who he is. Keefe D says, "I'm a dangerous motherfucker without smoking weed, dude. I get mad easy." You know what I'm saying? The LAPD detective, Darren Dupree, says, "We know you, man. We know what you can and can't do." The federal agent then comes in. That's how Detective Kading is without coffee. Keefe D, keep me calm, keep me from hurting people, man. Right? And so when we talk about that, when we're dealing with that situation right there, it's kind of interesting, if you will, that Keefe D would be saying those things in reference to how he lied before, how that was bullshit, and now that they got him on this other charge, which he faces 25 to life, now all of a sudden, saying to them, you don't bullshit me and I won't bullshit you, right? And so as we get deep into it, we go into it from this perspective. Keefe D describes the moment his nephew, Orlando Baby Lane Anderson, allegedly shot Shakur. So now he's confessing from that perspective what he witnessed, because he was in the car, he said, right? Detective Kading. So Orlando shot across Dre, Keefe D. He leaned over and Orlando rolled down the window and popped him. If they would have drove on my side, I would have popped them. But they was on the other side. Then the federal agent comes in. Where does Baby Lane get the gun from? Keefe D. A little secret compartment that popped up. The federal agent. In the armrest? Keefe D. Yeah. Detective Kading. Was it a Glock? Keefe D. Yeah. Detective Kading. A 40? Keefe D. Yeah. And I ain't never told nobody that story, man. Right? So now he's saying that he's never told anybody this story. Keefe D's basically confessing that, I've never told nobody this story right here, from that perspective. Then Keefe D goes on to say, Keefe D says he was introduced to Puffy, right, through another Crip named Zip, who was also in on the $1 million deal. However, Keefe D adds that he personally got on Combs' good side by lending him his car to use in Usher's music video, right? And so, once again, when they're developing a relationship, if you will, from that perspective, right? The relationship is starting to be developed. He's saying, hey, I got on Sean Combs' good side based on the fact that I let him use my car in Usher's video. And okay, cool. So, then they go into a little bit more detail. But what I find interesting about that is, the way that Sean, Puffy, kind of denied everything as if they never really had a relationship, right? But then it goes in and it talks about that situation and how that kind of came about, if you will, right? Keefe D. We met the boy Combs he gave a BET party or the BET Awards. It was like 92 or 93 at the club on Santa Monica. And Murray J was there. And the tall dude used to have the dreads. He's with Aftermath now. What's his name? The federal agent, Busta Rhymes. Keefe D. Yeah, Busta Rhymes. Me and him almost got in a fight. I was suited. He thought he was all the big shit. I was all. We going to beat that. He said, we're going to beat the fuck out of that boy. He threw his drink on me. And I was like, motherfucker, yeah. That's the first day I met Puff, right? And after that, they used my car in the video. Detective Dupree asks, which car was that? Keefe D. A 64 Chevy I had. Detective Dupree. What color was it? Keefe D. Brown. Usher. He had Usher. It was Usher's video. And Puff Combs was driving the car. Detective Dupree. You remember the song? Keefe D. Can I Get With It? That was his first song ever. Usher's first song ever. He was in the Lakers uniform and Combs had the little kid dancing on the car. When I got it back, it was fucked up. And he paid to get it repainted. He sent me $2,500 for that, right? A lot of detail into the relationship, that would lead up to Keefe D saying that, hey, this is where the situation, and also describing in the earlier situation as far as the pre-notes, the $1 million deal. There's a $1 million deal. And what $1 million deal could they possibly talk about, right? That's the thing that most people really don't understand about the situation when it came down to them talking about, you know, this hit on Tupac and Suge, if you will, right? So then they go into a little bit deeper detail, if you will, and it goes like this. They want to know a little bit more about, you know, what happened in regards to the situation. Detective Kading, tell us what happened that made it something other than just him frustrated and boasting. Man, I'll give you guys anything. What made it specific? Like, hey, I'm serious. I want you guys to kill these guys. Keefe D, when he told me at Greenblatt's, Detective Kading, how did that go? Like, what's the conversation? Greg Kading is asking him, right? Then the federal agent says, and he kind of comes in, he says, and who's he? Keefe D says, Puff. Detective Kading says, how's the conversation go? We need really specific details regarding that. Keefe D, we wanted $1 million. Detective Kading, all right. So you met him at Greenblatt's for lunch or dinner or what? Keefe D, this was dinner in the evening. Detective Kading, who else was there? Keefe D, all of us. Corey, everybody. All our crew. Detective Kading, everybody's hearing this conversation between you and Puff. Keefe D, he was talking to me. When we got there, we was laughing at him because he was with this broad that sucked dick and sucked everybody's dick, and he's all held up kissing her. We was laughing at that motherfucker. He's like, man, what you laughing at, dog? Man, just don't come out here and get any broad, dog. He took me downstairs and he's like, man, I want to get rid of them dudes, man. I was like, we'll wipe their ass out quick. It's nothing, right? So now, this is the conversation that takes place at Greenblatt. You know, for most people, you know, like I said, and this is way before, you know, the situation in regards to what we all knew to be true and the murder rap, and now what we understand Keefe D to be arrested for, and which gave him the deal, right? And this part right here kind of came before that, but Greg Kading, they were asking him, they basically said about the animosity between Bad Boy Entertainment and Death Row Records. Detective Dupree, did Puffy have a place out here in Los Angeles? Keefe D, he used to say if Suge was out here, he was scared shitless. Talking about Puffy being scared of Suge. Detective Dupree, so that beef had started by then. No, it started when they were out at the award show, meaning the Source Awards out in New York. Now Tupac, he's still in jail at that particular time. So at that particular time, Tupac's still in jail, right? And you know, the whole situation is boiling up. Tupac already been shot, and Suge says during that situation in New York at the Source Awards, Tupac tell him keep his guards up, tell him we riding with him, and so on and so forth, right? And so now this is festering up. You know, they got a relationship going. You know, Keefe D at that time had it going on. You know, and that's what it was from that perspective, right? So now, so they go into deeper into what really made him feel that way, you know what I mean, after that. So then they get into the situation where it's like, okay, how they wanted to go down and what they need to happen, and why Sean Combs was really mad, right? So the motivation behind Combs' alleged order to kill Knight and Shakur, Keefe D, was fear that the other side would strike first. Detective Dupree. When Combs asked about Shakur and Knight, would he always say both of them? Right? Keefe D. He added the boy Shakur on after he made a record. Detective Dupree. Before that, it was just Suge. And then after Hit 'Em Up came out, Keefe D, yeah, that pissed Combs off. So he's basically saying what Puffy had said in so many interviews when Tupac dropped Hit 'Em Up, that he was hurt. You know what I mean? And so by the fact that he was hurt, you know, and some of the things that Tupac said in Hit 'Em Up, I can understand why Puffy would be so mad and so angry at that particular point, right? But like I said, once again, this is why it's important for people to really pay attention to what has been going on and what's being said. Keefe D already admitted to lying. He told the feds, the FBI in 97 that, he lied about it, and about something about Suge probably had Tupac killed because Tupac wanted to leave death row. He said that was all bullshit, right? And so now we get into, the night of the situation in Vegas and how it goes down, right? Keefe D says he's known Suge since childhood, growing up on the streets of Compton. So when Keefe D first started hanging out with Combs, he says the death row boss kept badgering him, like, how you meet them guys? The same way I met you, motherfucker, he remembers answering, a.k.a. the drug trade, making the moment they locked eyes during the 1996 shooting more dramatic. Now, so that was something that I never really knew, that Suge knew that Keefe D was hanging out with Puffy and them, and for whatever reason, they conversated about that, and him asking Keefe D, like, how you met them and so on and so forth, right? And they saying now that makes the situation when Keefe D alleges that he locked eyes with Suge when the shooting happened a little bit more dramatic, because basically Keefe D explained like, we knew each other since we were young, right? So Keefe D explaining what happened that night. Keefe D, we came up Harmon, got to Las Vegas Boulevard and shit, and here he coming at BMW, broads like Tupac, and we like, there they go. Made a U-turn. We wasn't supposed to make a U-turn, and they was in the middle lane, and we just pulled up on the side of them and checked every car to see where they was. Now, that detail right there, when he says, we made a U-turn, we wasn't supposed to make a U-turn, basically stating that they made an illegal U-turn. That's one of those details that, like, you telling a story and you were there, you would know a little detail like that. Like, we wasn't supposed to make the U-turn, but we made a U-turn. We busted you to go, see what was going on, right? Then Detective Kading comes back and says, so Lane starts blasting and Suge looks over and sees you? Keefe D says, yeah. Detective Kading, he looks right at you? Keefe D says, yeah, he looked at me. We've known each other since we were 7 or 8 years old, right? Detective Kading, he looks over at you, and then Tupac busy getting shot. Story is Tupac's either trying to get out of the way? Keefe D, he's in the back seat or something. Detective Kading, what do you see happening? Keefe D, I see the bullets go into Suge's head. I thought he was dead. It must have scraped him or something in the head or something. I thought he was dead, right? Now, as I told you the other day that Keefe D's lawyer says that they're going to try to get Suge or attempt to get Suge to come and testify on Keefe D's behalf, right? Right? With this statement right here that he gave to Greg Kading and them, I don't think that would be a good idea from the perspective of just, everything that he told them, admitting to lying before, the credibility at that particular point and what Suge could come in and say, it would make Suge look bad, because Keefe D already said that he looked at Suge in his eyes. And so what would that mean from that perspective when you think about that, you know, more so than anything, right? And then you get into it last but not least, the reason Keefe D basically said that he cooperated, right? Which I don't really believe, because in the beginning, basically, he had got caught for the PCP thing and he was looking for a way out from that perspective. So if he had information, he wanted to basically, you know, I guess spill his guts about the information that he had that he thought could give him that get out of jail free card, and which it did. It gave him a limited, you know, a proffer agreement, and which I don't think Keefe D understood at that particular time. So, most ironically, Keefe D says he never got the money Combs had allegedly offered him. Word on the street, according to Keefe D, is that Combs gave half the reward to Zip, seeing as Suge Knight was still alive, and Zip never relayed it back to its rightful owner. This might have been the fateful mistake that led to Keefe D's confession. That's their assertion, right? So Detective Kading says, what? Since you've been out of prison, have you talked to Zip? Keefe D, not one time. Detective Kading, what about Puffy? Not one time. I tried to call them several times. If he would have just given us half the money, I would have stayed strong. Basically, Keefe D saying, yo, he didn't get the money. It was a hit. They handled it from whatever perspective that they handled it. We know that Tupac, may he rest in peace, is not here. Keefe D went on to talk about it on the Art of Dialogue, Vlad, and all of these other channels and documentaries and so on. And now Keefe D's in jail, and now his argument is, or his narrative is that he made it all up, right? I guess we're going to see about that if the jury or the judge believes that in November when the trial starts. But I just find this very interesting right here. You know, before all of the pressure was on and the deal was on the table, these were the details that Keefe D gave in regards to the situation, in regards to the murder of Tupac Shakur, basically stating that Sean Puffy Combs wanted them dead. And then I find it also ironic that Sean Puffy Combs would then put it in the song with Black Rob, that song that he did with Black Rob, talking about, if you fuck with me, I put $1 million on your head. I wipe out you and your whole family. And the deal for the situation in regards to Keefe D was for $1 million. I find that very interesting. And so, yeah, it's going to be interesting, man. But this is very powerful information, if you will. Your boy DELRAY, straight gang.